As a jazz beginner, you've probably been scrolling through tons of YouTube videos already, but everything leads to learning hundreds of arpeggios, modes, and playing something different over each chord type, while all you know is the major scale. That can be frustrating. Today I'll show you how to get the most out of the major scale, sound jazzy, and turn scales into solos. No more noodling scales up and down. My name's Sandra Sherman, and I simplify jazz for you. The reason why something sounds like scale filling is that people just climb the scale up and down in a linear way. They hardly ever skip a tone. The result is a very childlike sounding melody. You can counteract this as follows. Play larger intervals like thirds, fourths, fifths, or even sixths, because they sound more melodic. In jazz, descending thirds are often used. Legend has it that the term bebop comes from descending interval sequences that sound like bebop, bebop, bebop. Take any major scale pattern like this one and play descending. For thirds, you have to skip every other note of the scale. So we start with that D because it's the highest note of this pattern. You skip the C and you play the B. That's your first third. Now you go back to the skipped note, the C, and we want to play the second pair. C, you skip the B, go to the A. That's your second pair. So we have. And here's the complete exercise that you could use for warming up. Now let's play some notes before that and lead into a short sequence of descending thirds. Make sure to land on a chord tone. The first lick will be over a C major 7 chord, so you'll have to land on one of its chord tones, C, E, G, or B. So you can start anywhere in that scale and make a big leap. So that's your first step. Then I play some descending thirds, bebop, bebop. Then I go down the scale even more, and there's another bebop. And I go back to the skip note just like in the exercise. And I land on the chord tone, right? So here it is slowly. For a systematic approach to jazz guitar, check out my jazz starter packs. The link is in the video description or bio. Changing direction is already the keyword for the next trick that I named the stock chart trick. You want to get away from playing the scale up or down in only one direction for too long. When you listen to jazz masters, they play one direction only for a few notes and then they change the direction. This can be the previous note or a bigger jump. This looks somewhat like a stock price chart that goes down, up, and so on and so forth. Lick number 2 was over a G7 chord, which is the 5th degree of the C major scale. We're still in C major, but let's change the pattern just for fun. We go down to the 5th fret because we have a G7 here also. So we see the chord tones better, even if we don't focus on that right now, but it's always good to see that. So here's pattern number 5. Simple C major scale. I start on the B and I go down 3 scale tones, but I skip the second scale tone already. This gets you away from the linear playing. Just skip tones. So instead of playing the A, I continue with G and F. Then I go back to the skipped note on an offbeat. So I change directions on an offbeat. 1 and 2 and that's a very jazzy thing to do. Change directions on an offbeat. Then I descend the scale until the B. Then I change directions again. play thirds. So I skip every other note, and then I descend thirds. So I have my first bebop here, go back to the skip note. We learned that already for the bebop trick, and another bebop for the ending. Always good to have a bebop at the end. Here's the whole thing at slow tempo. You can use all these licks over any chord of the C major scale. Just change the last tone to fit with the chord you're landing on. Always land on a chord tone. You can play the same stuff over anything for now. Later you want to refine your playing to outline the chords better. But for now, just make the last note and longer lasting tones chord tones. We can massively spice up the major scale by adding chromatic tones. Chromatics are notes that are not included in a major scale. The easiest way to add chromatics is to search for whole tones in the scale and connect them with a chromatic note in between. So let's go over to pattern number 4 now, which is on the 3rd fret here, C major scale. And let's find all the whole tones to connect with chromatic tones. Next string we have it here. Next string, it's here. Next string, it's here. Next string, it's here. Next string is the same as the high E string. We have it here. Now the trick is to have your chromatic fall on an offbeat, because that's what you need to do. And that means you have to start your 3-note cluster on a beat, because you have a tone before the chromatic. So let's say this is your first one. It would be 1 and 2. Now this is the offbeat, 1 and 2, right? So here's an exercise to practice this. And now let's make a lick using the C major scale in the 4th pattern, but this time over the 2nd degree, the D minor 7 chord. So I start with the descending chromatic. I make a pull off here from the offbeat to the beat. That's also a very jazzy thing to do. 1 and 2 keeps your jazz phrasing intact. To do that on the offbeat. Then I change directions. Remember the stock chord trick? Now I do the ascending chromatic. And I end with 2 bebops. Bebop, bebop. And here it is at slow tempo. Check out my concept lesson playlist up here on my YouTube channel for many more lessons like this one. Please give this video a fat thumbs up so it's seen by many others and it helps with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe my channel and visit my lesson shop GuitarVersum.com for mini courses and song lessons. I hope to see you next week. Servus, Baba.